What is today?
June 2nd.
June 2nd, 2016. We're here in my math class today, 1050. And we're on section, what is it? What section today?
Chapter 8. No. I don't.
Chapter 8.
Alright, I think it's time to start. Good afternoon. Well, you only have 4.
Yeah, small class today.
So today we'll finish the section 8.1 and then we'll cover section 8.2. And next Thursday, not Wednesday, next Thursday we have a second exam over there, not me. So next Thursday we'll take a second exam. And I'll make a sample exam and post it, maybe so you can get the sample exam on at least the next Tuesday. Well, at least like the Monday night. So you can print out and practice that. And we'll go over the sample exam on Wednesday, and we'll take the exam on Thursday. So let's start. So review section 8.1, and this is about the Cartesian coordinate system. And for the Cartesian coordinate system, we introduced the 2 axes, x-axis and y-axis. And when you mark a point on the Cartesian coordinate or just xy plane, and we have the point is represented as a pair, ordered pair. The first component is x component, and the second component is for the y component. So for example, when you have a point 2, 3, that means x is a 2 and y is a 3, so which is on the right upper corner. And we call that is a first quadrant, and I'll explain that later also. I'll mention that also. And then like the negative 3, 1 means x is a negative 3 and y is a 1. And negative 1.5, negative 2.5 means x is a negative 1.5 and y is a negative 2.5. And by using this, we can define the distance between the 2 given points. So when we have a 2 point x1, y1 and x2, y2, we can use a Pythagorean theorem to define the distance between the point as square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. And we discussed the example about that. And the midpoint, when you have a 2 point, and when you want to find the midpoint, which is a middle of the 2 points, and the idea is basically when you have just one single line, which is just x value or x-axis, like the 1 and 5, the middle point of 1 and 5 is a 3. 3 is average of the 2 numbers, 2 given number, 5 and 1. So in general, the midpoint of x1, y1 and x2, y2 is x1 plus x2 over 2. And then y1 plus y2 over 2. That's the midpoint. And the circle is when you have a fixed point, and that is also called as a center. When you have a fixed point and a fixed distance, which is a radius, and we collect all points from all point whose length is the same as r, which is radius r, from the center. So we collect the all point, that is just simply the circle. And the equation of the circle is when you have a radius r and a center is h, k, then the circular equation is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. And when you have a origin, the origin is a center, which is h and k are equal to 0, then we have x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared. That's the circle with the radius r and the origin, at the origin, center at the origin. And now the next example, I think the next example is slightly harder, and I'm sure that about more than half of you cannot get the right answer for this question. But I plan to ask you this on your exam.
Am I included in that, you think?
So, because this is important, so plus y squared plus 2x plus 6y minus 15 is equal to 0. Well, it looks somewhat weird, and you may have no idea what is this or what do we have to do. Well, the first thing is when you look at the first two components, x squared plus y squared, do not need to worry about the x component and the y component or a constant component. Just look at the x squared plus y squared, and then you can tell that from here. You can tell that this is a circle. So if we go back to the previous one, like that, when you have x squared plus y squared and the constant is equal to constant r squared, then we say that there is a circle, and this is the center is at the origin, but in general case, we have this kind of a case, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is r squared. So what we plan to do is we plan to make this into the following format. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. We're not change that. Then this has the center at h comma k and the radius as r. So we want to change the given form or the equation into the circle format, the general circle format.
And what would the HKR mean?
We'll determine that. We have to determine
Is it just extra variables
Yeah.
you're throwing in there?
that is a constant extra, like a constant. So we'll determine, if we determine h and k and r, which is the same as the first equation is the same as the second equation, and we can tell that we have a center and we have a radius. So how can we change that? Now let's look at the x minus h squared. We have x minus h squared component here. And x minus h squared, if we expand this, x minus h squared, what do we have? Do you know the formula? Do you remember that? We have x minus y squared, something like that. I think we had that kind of formula. Do we?
We have it all over the place. I see it all the time. X minus y squared.
What is that? What is x minus h squared? Look at the formula, the previous section, chapter 7.
X minus
If you don't know, well, then we can just write down as x minus h, x minus h. That's the meaning of the square.
Yeah.
Let's expand that. Distribute x to x and h, which is x squared minus xh, minus distribute the negative h to x and negative h, which is another xh, and plus h squared. This is x squared minus 2hx plus h squared.
I get confused on the negatives and pluses. I mean, how'd you end up with a plus? Everything was negative all the way to that.
No, we only have one component of negative here.
Right, and so on the next grouping,
Distribute that. Distribute.
right?
When you have a negative and negative, we got a positive. So negative h and negative h is positive. And then, in the same way, we have y minus k squared is y squared minus 2ky plus k squared.
So that's that circle formula you're talking about, and the k and the
No, not yet.
still no k.
So, what we plan to do is we're gonna rearrange this, the first equation, we're gonna rearrange this and wanna make into this kind of a format. So, here we have x squared and x component. So, I'm gonna combine an x squared and x component as a group, and y squared and the y component as another group. So, our equation is, I want to rearrange that as x squared plus 2x, and then just leave the blank, some kind of space, and y squared and 6y and some space, and negative 15 is equal to 0. I just didn't, well, we didn't change anything, just rearrange the component only, right? Make a group as x with x, x squared with 2x, and y squared with 6y. Now we're gonna change this into x and minus something square. We're gonna change this into the perfect square. That's the perfect square. And we also want to make this into y and some perfect square. Minus 15 is equal to 0.
So you're using that formula
Yep.
right there, and then you're applying it to the example, and you got to fill in those gaps.
Yes, that's right. So let's try to fill the gap. So x squared plus 2x. Let's compare with this one. X squared minus 2hx plus, when you have a h squared, we can make this into the perfect square, right? So negative 2hx, negative 2hx should be the same as plus 2. So negative, if we just compare x squared plus, we have x squared plus 2x, but we need something more here, right, to make the perfect square, isn't it? So if we have x squared and the 2x, what do we need here? What is h if we compare these two equations? We have x squared and x squared. That means these 2h, negative 2hx should be plus 2x. What is h? What can be h? Negative 2hx is a plus 2x.
Negative h squared.
This is this. This should be the same, isn't it?
So h.
H, what is h?
Y.
No, what is h? Negative 2hx is the 2x.
Yeah.
What is h?
1.
1? Is that a 1?
I didn't return
Oh,
something.
really?
I like the y. Just go off on something else.
X squared negative 2hx plus h squared. We're going to make this into, we're going to use this formula. This is a formula, given formula. But our equation is x squared plus 2x, right? Now we need something more here to match that. But the first thing is, we have x squared and x squared. They are the same. But we also need to make sure that 2hx is the same as 2x.
So negative h.
then negative 2h should be the same as 2. Because we have the same x here. Then, what is h?
Oh, negative 1?
Negative 1. We have to get h as a negative 1. That means we need a plus h squared means we need plus negative 1 squared. If we can make this into, well, this format, x squared plus 2x, into this kind of format, and based on the previous like the theorem or the previous formula, we can change this into x minus 1 squared. That's what this is, x minus h squared. This is x minus h squared. So this is x minus 1 squared, which is x plus 1 squared. And let's do it again for the y values. So we have y squared minus 2ky plus k squared. And we want to find a certain number of k such that we have in our equation we have y squared plus 6y. Now we want to add or do some algebra or manipulation to make this into the complete square, like the y and something square. But we know that this is y minus k squared. So, how can you do that? Well, we have a negative 2k y should be the same as plus 6. That implies what? That implies negative 2k is a 6, k is a negative 3. So when you have plus negative 3 squared, we can have minus 3, which is y plus 3 squared. So the point of this is we have to work like convert some equation into the complete square format, something square format. To make that, we have to add or subtract. We basically like manipulate the equation itself. So let me explain one more time. We didn't finish yet. So what happened is, so we are going to change this equation, the given equation, into x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. Well, it can be just instead of negative, it can be a plus. It doesn't matter, right? But anyway, we want to make this into the complete square format. X minus h squared, the complete square format. And y minus k squared, the complete square format. We're going to make that into the complete square format. So to do that, we group the same x term, x squared and the 2x, group the x term together, and group the y term together first. And then have to add or subtract some numbers. So I'll explain one more time here, because that is usually this is a really confusing part. I know. So if we rearrange that, we have x squared plus the 2x and plus y squared plus 6y and minus 15 is equal to 0. That's the same as the original one, right? Just rearrange and group them as x component and y component. And then I want to add 1 and I want to add 9. Why this is 1 and why this is 9? The reason is, to make the complete square format, I have to add plus negative 1 squared. which is the same as plus 1. I need plus 1. And to make the complete the square format, I need plus negative 3 squared, which is plus 9. And I need plus 1 and plus 9. That means I add that. That means I also have to subtract the same number to keep the equality.
But the equal
There
signs
is
over
no
right.
change at all. No, there is no change at all here, right? We just I just add 1. So when I add 1, I just subtract 1. Still the same as before. I add 9, and I subtract 9. It's still the same equation.
Well, why'd you do it?
So there is the next one. So by changing that, I can group this, and I can group this, which is the first group is x plus 1 squared and minus 1. And the second group is y plus 3 squared minus 9 minus 15 is equal to 0. And I'm going to move all the constants to the right hand side, which is x plus 1 squared plus y plus 3 squared is negative 1, negative 9, which is negative 10. Negative 10 and negative 15 is a negative 25. And move that, we got a 25. Now 25 is a 5 squared. So we have a circle. With radius 5 and center negative 1, comma negative 3. The center, the finding center is we solve this, the inside of this is equal to 0, and inside of this is equal to 0. So x plus 1 is equal to 0 is x is negative 1, and y plus 3 is equal to 0 means y is a negative 3. So that is the center of the circle.
And the R5 is how big the circle is? The radius?
Yeah, the radius,
Yeah.
how big it is.
And what, you measure from the center out to the
Yes,
edge?
from the center to the edge
Hey,
of
can
the
you do
circle.
another example?
Yeah, we will do, but hold on. So here, then how can I choose the plus 1 and negative 1 somewhat easily? How can I get that? Right? Because this is a key point. Choose a plus 1 and subtract. Well, if we choose a plus 1, then we just need to subtract the same number. And if we choose a plus 9, we subtract the same number. So how can I choose a plus 9 and plus 1? So let's go back to here. This plus 1, or this actually that is a negative 1. Well, it doesn't need to be the negative 1, so I can do that here. So to make the complete the square format, if we have like x squared plus, let's do the same example, 2x. Then what we need to make the complete the square, something square, x plus or x minus something square, what we need is take this number, plus 2, take this number, only the coefficient, and plus 2, divide by 2, and take the square, which is 1, right? So, in that case, this inside is plus 1, then we need plus 1. If we have x squared plus 6x, then to make the complete the square, what we need is we take this plus 6 and then divide by 2, always divide by 2, and square. Then this number is a plus 3.
Can you do the same thing with y?
Yeah, sure,
You just
sure.
put it in that formula, x over 2 squared. To find the-
It doesn't need to be x and it doesn't need to be y.
Well, I mean,
It can be
like
any.
the
Yeah.
variable over 2.
Yeah.
2 squared.
You mean instead of the 2, you mean the 2x? No, just a coefficient.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, only the coefficient. So plus 3, so we need a plus 3. If this number is like the y squared plus 8y, well, let's use a negative. So negative 8y. Then what we need is take this negative 8 and divide it by 2 and do the square. So this is a negative 4. So this should be y minus 4 squared. And that's the way to make the complete square. So always take the number, take the coefficient of this number, and then divide it by 2 and the square. And this number is what we need to make the complete square. So when you add the number, we subtract the same number to keep the equality. So when you add the number, that constant number, we subtract the same number. When you add a plus 9, we subtract the constant, then 9 again. And then this part is a complete square, and this part is also the complete square. So let's do some more example. Let's do x squared plus 4x. Let's make this. So x squared plus y squared minus 4x plus 6y, maybe a negative 10, is equal to 0. Now let's find the center and the radius of this. Then the step 1 is we rearrange this and make the x squared minus 4x. Just group the x term and the y term. And then we have y squared plus 6y. And negative 10 is equal to 0. We just rearrange that. And then the next step is we want to make this into the complete square format. So to make that, what we need is we take the number negative 4 and then add negative 4 over 2 and square, which is 4, right? And we add 4, that means to keep the equality, we subtract the 4. So I didn't change anything, just add and subtract the same number. And the same for the y term, take the number and divide it by 2 and take the square, which is 9. 6 over 2 is a 3, 3 squared is a 9, so subtract the 9. Now I want to regroup that as x squared minus 4x plus 4, and then split the negative as outside. So take this out, and then we have y squared plus 6y plus 9, and take this negative 9 outside of the parentheses. Then this is x and complete the square. So what is this number is the same as this number, which is negative 2. And negative 4 plus y and complete the square. And that number is the same as this inside of this, 6 over 2, which is plus 3. And negative 9 and negative 10 is equal to 0. Now let's combine a constant and move the constant to the right hand side. Then we have x minus 2 square plus y plus 3 square. And negative 4, negative 9, which is a negative 13, and negative 10. So we have a 23. So that means the center is, what is the center here? Set it equal to 0. What is x value when this is equal to 0? Set this is equal to 0 and this is equal to 0. What is that? What is x value?
Positive 2 and negative 3.
Yeah, plus 2 and negative 3. So 2 comma negative 3 is the center. And the radius, 23 is r square. So the radius r is square root of the 23. We take the square root. R square is a 23. The radius is not 23. The radius is a square root of the given number. Is it okay? Yeah, you need practice, obviously.
So how did you got that negative 2 from negative 4 over 2, right?
Yeah, negative
You
2
didn't
from...
square it. So you basically took out the other numbers?
Yeah, I took out the other number because I only need a plus 4 to make the complete the square. So I want to group that, but just remove, well, just to take out the negative 4. And then I combine the negative 4 and negative 9 and negative 10, just constant.
What'd you do with the negative 4x? Is it
Where?
you turned that and you just took out the other 4?
This negative 4?
Yeah.
What do you mean that? Wait,
You
which
turned
part?
that into negative 2, right?
Then when you factor in
This whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
you mean that this whole thing is that, right?
Yeah, I was just wondering how you turned that into that. Was it just from negative 4 over 2 and then dropping the exponent?
Take the square. Take the
Yeah.
square.
Okay.
When you square that, we have x squared minus 2 times the 2x plus 4. That is a formula. Yeah. Any question? Okay, I'll give you another example. X squared plus 10x plus y squared minus 12y minus 20. Find the center and the radius. Hey, try, Mike. You're not just watching that.
Well, what I've learned to do now is watch you first, and then I look at the video and take my notes. Normally, I'm writing notes. I don't ever see anything you're doing, so I'm trying different.
Okay. You got it? What is that?
I got that the center is -5, -6, and the radius is 9.
Almost. You made really tiny mistake.
Is it +6?
Yeah, positive 6. So, we group the x squared plus 10x and leave a space, y squared minus 12y and space and -20. So what we need some constant to complete the square. The constant is take this plus 10, just coefficient of x value, and then divide it by 2 and square that, which is a 10 over 2 is a 5. 5 squared is a 25. So we subtract the same number, 25. Now for this y term, take this -12 and divide it by 2 and square that. This is a -6. -6 squared is -36. Then the first 3 terms, this will change into the complete the square format, which is x and something square, but that number is the same as this number, which is +5. And we have a -25, so plot the -25 or the just and then we have a y, and we have a -12 over 2, which is a -6, with a -6 and right here, -6 square, and -36 and -20. Then we combine a constant, -25, -36, and -20, and move to the right hand side. Then we have x plus 5 square plus y minus 6 square is 81. Now 81 is a 9 square. So the center is -5, So the center is let this part is equal to 0 and this part is equal to 0. Those x values and y values, x value and y value is the center. So which is -5, and then radius r is the square root of 9. That number 81, or the 9 square, which is a 9, and that is a radius. Any question? Okay, yep, that's all. Now let's move on to the new section, 8.2. Lines, slope, and average rate of change. The line, we'll see the straight line or the linear equation. So, linear equation in 2 variables is, for example, like a linear, like 2x plus 3y is equal to 6. So we have a 2 variable, and then for the x, the degree of the x is 1, or the power of x is 1, and also for the y. And then we say that there is a linear. And sometimes we have a solution for this linear equation. So the solutions of this equation, there are many solutions, actually the infinitely many solutions. And we're going to look at only two of them are ordered pair, such as, for the simple case, when x is a 0, what is the y value? Which makes this statement as a true statement. When x is a 0, plug in x is 0, what is y value?
2.
2. So 0, 2 is the solution. What happens when x, instead of x, if we let the y as a 0, what is x value? So 2x plus 0 is a 6. What is x?
3.
3. So 0, 2 and the 3, 0, and these are the solution of this linear equation. But they are infinitely many, and we'll find it.
There are infinitely many.
Yeah, infinitely many.
But not whole numbers, right?
Not all of them. Not all of them satisfy this, but whenever you give me just one single x value, I can find the corresponding y value. Whatever the x value is, I can always find the y value. So there are infinitely many ways. But not all of them satisfy this. It's not true. So in general, there are infinitely many solutions. Let me add a slide. And the graph, we'll draw the graph later. But anyway, the graph of, we'll learn this, how to draw the graph. The graph of any linear equation in two variables is a straight line. So in general, we have the following shape of the graph. So this is x-axis and y-axis. This is in the Cartesian coordinate system. And we'll say that this is a quadrant 1.
What was that last part? It's a what system?
Cartesian. That is what we discussed in the section 8.1.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And this is quadrant 1. One of the first quadrant, and then we go to the counterclockwise, and this is quadrant 2, or the second quadrant. And this is quadrant 3, or the third quadrant. And this is a last one, quadrant 4, or the fourth quadrant. And typical line looks like this, or may look like that. That is a typical straight line. It is just straight line, really straight. That is a linear equation.
But more than one quadrant? Typical line?
Yeah, typical line pass through the more than one quadrant. Because the line is, this is not, well, the line means it does not stop at this point. It just goes continuously. So I cannot draw infinite line. So we usually stop there, but it doesn't mean that it is a segment. It is not a line segment.
But
If we have a two-end point, like the two-end point, like this, we say that there is a line segment. But this is a not line segment. It just goes continuously. So we say that there is a straight line, just a line.
Just a line result of the math that we're doing, your point now.
Yeah, the line, this straight line is based on that. So
Right.
when you have this kind of a linear equation, Well, instead of just 2 and 3 or 6, we have in general ax plus by is equal to c. So x and y, we have a two variable and linear, then we say that there is a linear equation. And typical shape of that linear equation is actually this kind of the straight line. The linear equations in two variables, an equation that can be written in the form of ax plus by is equal to c, where a and b are not both 0. So at least one of them should be non-zero. Then we say that it is this equation, ax plus by is equal to c, is a linear equation in two variables. If we have like a two non-zero value, that is a linear equation in the two variables. If we have just one variable, which is ax is equal to c, that is obviously a linear equation in one variable. Yep.
We have so many formulas just in a couple weeks, and they're so important. Any suggestions on how to remember those things?
Just review again and again.
Yeah,
That's
we're
the
no-
way. There is no shortcut.
And in our book, is there at least a list of all the formulas? So
Yeah, I think there is a.
Says,
What
all
did-
the formulas be on the test.
yeah, it'd be nice, wouldn't it? If you give
No,
us
no,
the
no,
formula
no.
on the test?
No,
I don't
You
think
have to
so.
memorize. Yeah.
That's what I mean. I can't memorize all that A and this and that.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to memorize. Yeah.
I've never seen a few
Well,
letters
typically,
make so
if
much.
I give you the formula sheet, or if you can bring the
Still
formula
gotta be
sheet,
able to work it out.
no, if you bring the formula sheet, then the exam will be much more harder, much more complicated.
If we
That's the
bring the,
typical, yeah, that's the typical way to work out. So if you can bring if I allow the formula sheet, then the exam is much more complicated because you can write down anything on the formula sheet.
what? The formula sheet makes it harder to do an exam?
I mean, I have to make the exam harder
Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah, no, that's fine.
because I cannot answer a really simple question on the exam because you can look at the formula sheet and you can easily find it. So I have to make the exam much more complicated.
Like you said, you still got to do it. Just trying to figure it out.
That's not what my method. So anyway, the second part, intercept for the graph of the linear equation is to find the x-intercept. How can you find the x-intercept? Is we let it is x-intercept is called as that point when the graph or the linear line meet at the x-axis. This is x-axis, and that point is called as x-intercept. When this line touch the y-axis or meet with the y-axis, that point is called the y-intercept. So for the y-intercept is this line is the same as when x is equal to 0. So y-intercept can be found by letting the x is equal to 0. In a similar way, to find the x-intercept, on the x-intercept or x-axis, all the y value is equal to 0. So we let y is equal to 0 and solve that, then we get an x-intercept. So this point is called as a y-intercept. And this point is also obviously y-intercept. And that point meet meet with the x-axis, that is x-intercept. So to find the x-intercept, we let y is equal to 0. And solve for x. And this is the point crosses more than meet the x-axis. In a similar way, we can find the y-intercept by letting x is equal to 0. Y-intercept is x is equal to 0, and x-intercept is y is equal to 0. And solve for y. And this point is, this is a point where the line crosses the y-axis. And finding the x-intercept and y-intercept are very important. And also, if we know the x-intercept and y-intercept, we can graph the linear equation. We can draw the straight line. Now let's find the x-intercept and y-intercept of the following equation. 4x minus y is equal to negative 3. And then we are going to graph the equation. This is a straight line, so we'll get a line. The x-intercept is we let y is equal to 0. So plug in y is equal to 0, that is 4x minus 0 is equal to negative 3. So we got x is equal to negative 3 over 4. So that is, we have negative 3 over 4 comma 0. And this is the x-intercept. Now the y-intercept is, we let the x is equal to 0. And when you plug in x is equal to 0, we have a 0 minus y is equal to negative 3. So we have y is equal to 3. So a point 0, 3 is the y-intercept. Now let's draw that. X, 0, y. And we have an x-intercept as a negative 3 over 4, which is around here, negative 3 over 4. And y-intercept is a 0, 3, which is here. So we have a 2 point. And we know that this is a straight line. So when you have a 2 point, we can just connect them. And then, that's all. This is a linear equation where the straight line. So x-intercept and y-intercept are really important to draw the graph. Any question? Okay, so let's move on. Now we are going to graph each line. Y is equal to 2. We only have just one single variable. Y is equal to 2. That means there is no x value. X can be anything, right? So, regardless of x value, we always get y is equal to 2. So when x is a 0, we have y equals 2. When x equals 1, we still have y is equal to 2, etc. So when you draw that, x and y axis 0. So this may, it is possible that we have a 0, 2 as a solution of this equation, or 0, 2 is on this line, or 1, 2 is also on this line. Now we have a 2 point. So just mark the 2 points, 0, 2. And 1, 2. When we connect them, we have a line. Y is equal to 2. That's easy. So y is equal to 2 is the horizontal line.
But when you go to the left, it's a negative 2. So your line goes all
Yeah,
the way to
always,
the left.
all the way through this.
So
Just continue that.
But I mean, it's not y equals plus or minus 2. That line is equal to plus or minus 2.
No, this is just y is equal to 2.
Okay.
Because this point is like a negative 1, 2, and this point is negative 2, 2.
Oh, that's right, because it's higher than.
Yes.
If
Right.
it's 0, it's basically infinite, right?
What do you mean the 0?
Because x would be 0 and y would be 2. So
Yeah.
x would be infinite numbers.
Yeah, there are infinite number of possible x values. You can plug in any x value, but you always get the same y value, which is at the 0, you get a 2, 1 and 2, and when x is a 2, we still get a 2, etc. So, but when you draw the line, we don't need more than 2 points. Just a 2 point is enough. So, just connect them with just straight line. And there is a horizontal line, and the horizontal line, if we look at the bottom, the vertical line and horizontal line, a horizontal line has an equation of the form y is something, right? So this has a form of y is equal to b. And this is a horizontal line. Now let's look at the second one. X is equal to b means there is no y value. Y can be anything, right? So that means y can be 0, or y can be 1, or y can be 2. But we don't need more than 2 points, right? So negative 1, 0, which is right here. And negative 1, 1, which is right here. So we can connect them. Then this is the line for x equals negative 1. So x is equal to negative 1 is a vertical line. So a vertical line has an equation of the form of x is equal to a. There is no y value, just x is equal to a. That is a vertical line. Any question? All right, then let's take a 5-minute break.
June 2016, Part 2, Section 8.2.